Good afternoon, everyone. This is Suzanne Knabe-Nicole from Police Science Doctor. It may surprise you that I'm doing this live video snippet announcement in the afternoon. I usually do it on a Tuesday evening, but I wanted to give it a try this afternoon and just see if it suits your viewers, you viewers, any better or not, or if it doesn't make a difference. Who knows? You need to try it. You know, just like in policing and science, you need to try something out and compare it and then see where it leads you. So Police Science Doctor, for those who don't know, is a website that is a global online resource for law enforcement practitioners, everyone researching in the field, studying in the field, working in the field. What I do is I take academic research findings and scientific information about policing and criminology, investigative psychology, forensic psychology, all that good stuff. I turn it into videos that police practitioners can actually watch. They're not going to be reading academic articles, so the science doesn't usually get to the person who's doing the policing. But with the videos that I produce, with the podcast that you can listen to, with the transcripts that I produce for the videos, you can actually get that knowledge and absorb it in your own time. And you can actually build up your own library of these transcripts of these videos if you join the free Police Science Doctor email list at the website policesciencedoctor.com. You get specific access to the read page, which is password protected, and you can download the transcripts of every video that is currently uploaded. At the moment, I've got 30 on there and a few more that I need to edit and upload. Last week, you may have been a viewer at the webinar that I was doing. It was mental health and policing. It was a really, really good event. I really enjoyed it. Lots of people enjoyed it. There was fantastic feedback, lots of comments from people from around the world that really enjoyed it. What I want to tell you is that the replay of that webinar is up. You can watch the whole thing, or you can watch the first half, the first part, the second part, or you can watch a specific talk by one of the speakers on this website here that I've just put into the chat where you're watching this. So hopefully this will be of use to you. It was a really good event. If I do say so myself, it was really good. And it's going to be worth your time having a look. And on that webpage that I've just put in there, you can also download a free poster. It's basically a pathway of leading your police organization out of mental health misery and to making them all mentally healthier. And so this poster is based on the suggestions and contributions of the speakers who took part in the webinar last week. And the other thing I wanted to announce today is that I'm doing a live interview this Thursday, as I sometimes do. It's going to be 7 p.m. BST here in the UK. That's 2 p.m. EST in New York, for example. I think it's 4 a.m. for the Aussies in Sydney. I'm very sorry about that. Every time I do a live event, it's a really rubbish time for you guys out there. Basically, I'm talking to Gareth Katie. Maybe I should actually check how to pronounce his surname. We're going to talk about coaching your way out of police-induced misery. So he used to be a soldier, then he became a police officer. He saw a lot of trauma, and actually he was dealing with that quite well. It wasn't really affecting him. What did affect him was when his organization turned around in a very complex issue and wasn't supporting him, and that's when the stress set in. And that's really interesting because at the webinar, if you watch it, Dr. Jacqueline Drew from Australia told us that actually the organizational stresses within a police department, with a police force, they are twice as impactful and twice as bad when it comes to mental health for police officers as the trauma they actually go through when they attend incidents. So the trauma is something police officers will always have to deal with, and we can't remove that. But double the harm is caused by the organization itself: poor leadership, lack of support, lack of resources, and everything that adds up to it. So we're going to see an example of that happen, not happening, but he's going to tell us about how he fought his way out of it. And it was through coaching. And again, at the webinar last week, we discussed that people who work for the police might be more open to coaching than to going for counseling or therapy, because it might have a different reputation. Perhaps it doesn't sound I don't want to say embarrassing, because I'm obviously a proponent of therapy and counseling. I think they're great, and we all need to have therapy and counseling all the time to deal with all our issues. We would be such better rounded individuals and so much healthier and feeling so much better. But the course that we're going to launch on the 19th of June, Ginny McKenna, a former police officer, and I, so she's actually doing the course. She's a life coach, and she's an accredited life coach. Only 2% of life coaches in the UK are accredited. She's accredited, and she specializes in stress in policing. So police people, police officers, police staff who deal with stress, are maybe overwhelmed by it. What she's offering is she's offering this course, a release on the 19th of June. And I'm putting the, so no, I'm not putting it into the chat. I don't have it now quickly, but I can show it to you here. So this is where you can get information on this course. Just have a look. It's launching in a few weeks and it's really going to be worth it. So it ticks all the boxes. It's external to your organization. Your organization doesn't have to know that you're taking this course. It's completely confidential. It is by someone who has been a police officer for over 20 years. And she has not only policing experience, but she's also got the experience of being suicidal. She was in a very, very dark place with anxiety and depression. So she knows all about that as well. And she can now help you out of that situation. So go to that website if you can. Now, what we're going to get to today is the police science snippets, as every Tuesday. Let me just remove this. Right, so the first one, if I haven't explained it, the police science snippets is, as I mentioned in the intro, police officers and police staff don't actually get to go through all the academic journals and articles and research and see what might be relevant to them and what they can use in their everyday job. And so I do it for you. So every Tuesday, I send out an email to the email subscriber list with these 3 golden nuggets that I extract from academic research that week. It doesn't have to be the research that was published that month. It can be anything that is still valid and still informative. But it's always going to be something applicable, something practical. I'm not going to tell you about, logarithmic regressions and all of that, something that you can't do anything with. I'm going to tell you something that you can actually apply. The first one is about online sexual abuse and how to prevent people from accessing porn sites that may be leading into something illegal or that may already be illegal. So the snippet is: installing an automated pop-up message that appears when individuals try to access a website claiming to contain barely legal porn can deter some of the users from clicking through to that website. The most effective messages are those warning that IP addresses can be traced. And there's a link to the original article. So these police science snippets are not me sharing my research. I'm talking about other people's research. And every time a snippet is published, I also publish where it comes from. So you can go to the source yourself. Many of these articles, unfortunately, are behind a subscription wall. I've got no control over this, unfortunately. I would like everything to be available publicly, and I think it should, because the universities are getting financed by taxpayers' money. And it should be made available to the public as a result. That's what I think anyway. The second snippet for today is suspect prioritization. In other words, offender profiling. So when you have, this is dealing with statistics, okay? It's not about intuition and having a vision. This is about statistics. Who's more likely to have done something? If you find a dead sheep that's been torn to bits in a field, do you think it was a bird? Or do you think maybe it was a fox or a wolf, depending on where you live? So, you need to use previous information. How many times has a bird killed a sheep and torn it to bits and eaten from it? And how many times has maybe a wolf done that in the past? I don't want to badmouth wolves. They're my favorite animals, but this is the analogy I came up with now on the fly. So suspect prioritization or offender profiling is just that. You look at what's happened in the past, and then you make an inference that this is most likely to be similar now. So female offenders tend to kill victims of the opposite gender, so males. Whereas male offenders kill more victims within their own gender. They also kill males more often. So, the males are getting it from both sides. The probability of becoming a victim of homicide increases for white people and decreases for Black people as the offender's age increases. So the offender's age, the higher it is, the more likely they are to kill a white person, or a white person is more likely to be killed by someone older, and the Black person is more likely to be killed by someone younger. Overall, offenders tend to kill victims within about their own age, and as offenders get older, they are more likely to kill female victims than male victims. Okay, so again, this is guidelines. This is based on previous statistics. It's not going to apply in every case. But when you've got a whole load of suspects to deal with, you need to find a starting point. And the most suitable starting point can be identified through proper suspect prioritization that's based on science, proper offender profiling. And the third snippet for today is suspect interviews. Withholding some of the information or evidence and revealing it strategically during the interview results in better veracity assessments of the suspect's account than when the interviewer discloses at the outset what evidence they have against the suspect. So the strategic use of evidence just means that, you're not declaring at the beginning of the interview to the suspect, I've got this, I've got this, I've got that. You make sure that you let the suspect talk, and then you reveal the information in stages. If you do that, it's easier for the officer and for other observers. So in this case, it was other professionals, for example, people, barristers, lawyers. It was easier for them to assess whether the suspect was lying or not when the evidence was revealed strategically. So that may be a better tactic than revealing everything at the outset. And that was it. So just the science snippets from today. The link to the mental health webinar that's in the chat. And this week, the interview with coaching your way out of misery. I'm going to try and copy that into the chat so you can just click on it. On YouTube, you can actually set yourself a reminder. And then you can watch it there. So I might see you on the day at 7 o'clock in the evening, British time, on Thursday. And I hope you have a good week until then. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this content useful. You can get access to each episode's transcript with key learning points, timestamps, and references if you get yourself onto my mailing list. Just go to the main website on policesciencedoctor.com, and on the bottom of each page you will find a sign-up form for notifications of new content. Just enter your first name, your preferred email address, and the type of organization you work for. You will not get any spam. This is just for me to let you know about new content and for you to get access to all the transcripts.